It's a level where you have to be completely like compared to some other organizations, most definitely the NBCIFB. You cannot use any kind of performance enhancers. Nothing. You get tested. You get piss tested. I know one lady told me when she was there, she had to wait and had to stand beside, but she was really dehydrated. What was she going to piss out? But sometimes you take blood work, depending. And what you went through with your through 2022, that was a bad year for everybody. It was the post end of the pandemic. In 2020, I lost my mother because she had gotten the virus, and that kind of broke my heart. And I spent the last 5, 6 years taking care of her, and that gave me a purpose. And doing this content about you ladies, it's just really I would say honestly for bodybuilding in general, it really helped me through times where I was taking care of her with the stress and everything like that. But yeah, everybody finds something that can help them out in life, especially if it's bodybuilding or just doing content like I'm doing.
Yeah, and it just helped me just kind of find focus. So I always had a lot of anxiety, and I think it's because I'm always turned on for work and everything else around me. I throw 100% of myself into every situation, which is sometimes great and other times it's not. And so this kind of gave me that balance and just being able to control my food or control my workout and that routine and just kind of putting a little bit more structure around it just made a world of a difference for me personally. And also for my son. So he was really young when I started. He's 6 now, and he actually was able to go to the gym that I trained out of Tampa for a long time. The gym owner was great. He let him come as long as he behaved himself. But he got to see me kind of evolve with the sport, right? From trying to figure out what the hell an RDL was to being able to do a pull up on my own. I mean, all of the struggles in between, he was able to see that. So he's a little bummed now that he can't go to the gym with me, but we're adjusting.
Oh, well,
So
tell little man it'd be all right because someday he'll get to a point where he get to go in gym when he's a little older, and maybe you might even inspire him to get into the sport and bodybuilding. So now, when you started, you were in OCB, was doing bikini. What made you switch from that organization to the NPC?
it was actually really early on. So I received feedback from one of my shows, and I placed really well in that. I've always placed well with OCB, but just not, it wasn't the right look that they were going for. OCB, because maybe that's the natural organization, they were looking for someone who was a little bit more curvy. And that's just not me. Like genetic wise, I'm very lean. I've always been really lean, and it's really hard for me to put on muscle. So they told me that I was probably a better fit for NPC and that I should try it out. And I just went right from OCB, and a month later, I was in an NPC show. And I'm going to be honest, the experience was 100% different. As a natural athlete switching over, it was like night and day. The way that the show was run, there's a lot. I felt like it was really professional. There's a lot more athletes there. The shows are a lot larger. And then you are able to see these pros and, their routines to kind of see what you want to grow to, and you get a lot more exposure. I just had a better experience, I feel like, overall. And I didn't have a negative experience with OCB. I just think that it was the right fit for me. And that was one of the primary motivators, is I was just too lean, too conditioned, to everything for OCB for the look that they were looking for at the time.
Hmm. Yeah, like any athlete, it's about the process as they grow and develop over time. Natural bodybuilding, I think, is a lot harder compared to the more, as I would say, the more enhanced competitors because it takes you a lot more time to build the muscle and the conditioning. Where when you use like a performance enhancers, PEDs, it helps you, go a little longer. That's the thing about bodybuilding. I've often heard this out. People saying like, "Oh, you take steroids and yada yada, and you get bigger and yada yada." But it doesn't work like that. If you don't be consistent, you don't be disciplined, you don't be persistent and focused. Stick to the diet that your coach or nutritionist gave you. Work every day when you have a plan, and make sure it's like you stick to that plan. You can't be deterred. Like some people,
Right.
like myself, I'm kind of, if you know me, I'm kind of like I'm a procrastinator by nature. I do things when I feel like it's almost last minute to do it, and but when I do it, I'm doing it fully invested into it. But sometimes, the difference between discipline and motivation. Sometimes if it doesn't feel like I'm feeling it, I'm just. We have here my man Ryan Lake coming through. He just dropped. He says, Hello there, Ryan. Thank you for coming through, brother. So appreciate that. So, what's like I say, you really enjoy your experience in OCB, and you were doing bikini, and how many shows was that between before you made the switch to the other name?
Oh my gosh. So I call myself a baby bodybuilder. I'm still really new in here. So this is only my fourth. Tampa was my fourth show, I believe. Um, so I did 3 shows before I switched over to MPC. And then Tampa was my second MPC show. And I switched over, honestly, I went through bulk for about 18 months. And this was with a new coach, so we had never done prep before together. So we were kind of like testing it out, seeing what it was, like what I need to do conditioning wise. I have never been successful in gaining weight, and I gained 28 pounds over bulk, which is what we wanted. But I was shocked. I was like, I've never seen myself look like this. So then when we went to strip all that down, it took a lot longer than what we anticipated. And I still struggle in my hamstring development. So I don't have visible tie-ins. They're there in the right angles, but they are not there in back pose. So he had recommended that we try Fit Model just to kind of see where the placement was. And then that would give me the opportunity to, have muscle maturity and grow into the sport. Because when we made the switch, I already purchased a brand new, beautiful bikini from Bikini Labs. And I was so upset. I was like looking forward to wearing it. And I was like, I hate the Fit Model pose. It's so ugly. I was like, I love bikini. It's so like beautiful and graceful. I just didn't like Fit Model pose. I just feel like your leg is just thrown out to the side. And I know that was like the original bikini pose, but it's not my preference. I like the bikini pose that is now. So the goal is to still grow into bikini, but this also gives me an opportunity to kind of like get a little bit more stage time, get an understanding of like judging criteria, understanding that whole feedback loop, and then figuring out a new game plan to grow. So it's kind of like why we're here and what we're doing.
Well, the thing is, it's like I said, bodybuilding is a process, and I know the idea of fit models based on when I think the last really more popular bikini competitor, Ashley, I forgot her last name because I don't really pay attention too much to bikini. I am a fan of women's bodybuilding a little more. I want to make my crime, Amy, while I'm here. I am a muscle person, some of you ladies kind of excite me. And I think I interviewed a lady. You're not my first fit model competitor. I interviewed a lady. Her name was Heather, and she actually earned her overall title at a show. She did the Universe and Fit Model about a month ago. Didn't do too well, and she switched back to she switched back to bikini. Didn't do too well in bikini at the next show, But then I think she still had to work on it because I think she still needs time to grow and develop. And that's the thing about this: how the idea of fit model is not to be no crossovers, but then eventually, after a while, as your body grows and change, develop, maybe then when your coach says, you know what, it's finally time we go back to bikini and see how we do. So who's your coach and how long y'all been working with?
I'm actually with Coach Paul with Pro Physiques, and we've been working together for a little over a year. So I think we hit a year in June. But this is our very first prep together. So he's still learning my body. I'm actually relearning my body during prep because it's a different prep process for me. And also we're figuring out what foods I react to and what I don't. So it's been a lot of cardio, but we're almost there.
Yes, that's all your bunch of fit models, just cardio bunnies. Y'all put in the real muscle like real women, but hey, I'm just me, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we work just as hard. So I think there is also this common misconception too about the different divisions. Like Fit Model is more for lifestyle, and I was like, I see lifestyle folks in and out of the gym all the time, and I'm not judging them, but there's a very different process in bodybuilding, no matter what division you're in, and versus lifestyle. So when I first started, you can ask my husband this, I was like, how the hell am I going to work out for more than 30 minutes? I'm going to die. And he's like, you'll be fine. I was like, I can't do it. And he's like, no, you can do it. And I was like, once I hit 40 minutes, I'm dead. Now I'm in the gym 2-3 hours. No lifestyle folks are doing 2-3 hours in the gym. It's just it's a mental sport and we're all insane.
Yeah, well, like I said again, it is about a different mindset compared to everybody else. Most everyday people wouldn't spend 30 minutes most everyday people would spend an hour in the gym if they can't avoid it. But for you as a competitor, as you're growing and developing, this is part of your process.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hated the phrase in the beginning, like, trust the process. I'm like, if someone tells me that one more time, it's almost like telling your partner when they're upset, like, just try to calm down, like, don't stress, take a breath. It's like the same process if you're like frustrated in bodybuilding and nothing is going your way, like, just trust the process. You're like, it's the last thing I want to hear.
I don't say this. I don't say trust the process. Understand the process and then trust it. Because sometimes some things you don't really know fully. You don't understand that's involved with it. It's just I think for some people it's just an easy word to say, hey, trust the process. That's how it works. No, there's some things that I think I would like to know first. And
Yeah.
then when I feel like I can trust it, I'll trust it. But I think it's just the different mindsets of how people believe what is the process, what's part of it, and the ways as you gain and grow as an athlete.
Right. Yeah. And there's is a process in learning a lot of different things about this entire environment, and not just in the gym, but at home, also in the kitchen, you know. Um, I always see these Instagram reels, which crack me up. It's like me weighing food, where it's like too much on the scale, you take it off and you just like instinctively just eat whatever it is. And that was what I was doing in the beginning. I was like, shoot, that didn't weigh that. That doesn't count. Like, understanding what you're putting in and what you're getting out type of thing too. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's so much fun. So, folks, while we have Amy here, we're gonna do this. We're gonna jump into her social media for a bit. You want to check her out. Her links are in the description of this live stream. And folks, if you're interested, these ladies in the sport can use support. But guys, and I know most of you guys, you're more a fan of the big, buff, beautiful women, but still, she's a beautiful lady right here, guys. Have some common sense, have some decorum. She has a kid, she has a husband. No weird shit. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear her man in the street fighting another man because he said some weird shit to his wife. Be nice, be kind, be decent. All right. So, folks, we'll
thank
jump
you.
in. You don't need to thank me, ma'am, because as again, man, I'm a Southern gentleman. It's my pleasure to tell a lady that you respect the lady. But since the guys out there, they don't care if you don't even have, if you just have just a little bit of muscle, they want to say, "Hey, I was ride this kid." Come on, guys, come on, come on, come on. You got some better.
No.
Who raised you? Who raised you? So we're gonna jump into her social media here. You want to check her out, you can follow her on the link in the description. Now here, as she won, this is here at the show at the Tim Gardner Extravaganza, and you won in your class, right?
Yeah, so this was 35 and 35 plus.
All right, and then you took second in the overall, I think you said, or
So I took oh my gosh. So I took third in open, third in novice, and then second in true novice.
all right,
So that was one of the beauties too about this new division is I did not know that even if you've competed before in MPC, because it's brand new, you can actually register for true novice too, which was great. I got a lot of stage time. And when I say I got a lot of stage time, that show was so fast. I didn't know what class was what when I was on stage. And we were just hustling through, getting everyone on. And I just felt like I stood on that stage for 30 plus minutes by myself while all the other classes filtered on and off. So they just kept me there. So blessing in disguise. But I'm actually a friend of mine. Her name is Sarah, and she also competes. She's a wellness athlete, and she told me during posing practice to learn how to hold my poses for 8 minutes like a statue. And I was like, that just seems excessive. But looking back, I was like, man, I wish I did that because it would have helped me out. So
yeah, that's good that you're afraid of your advice. And who's this handsome gentleman beside you?
that's my husband, Caesar.
Ah, Caesar, Caesar. He saw you say, seize her for me. So, and how long y'all two been together now?
Oh my gosh. So we actually just got married in April. So we are technically still newlyweds, but we've been together for, he's going to kill me because I can't remember, but maybe 2 years. But we've known each other for a really long time, like over 10 years. So we worked together prior to dating. And actually, when I first started competing in OCB, we got reconnected on Instagram and through that whole journey of mine. So it was a really good experience, positive. He goes to the gym, he tracks macros, he understands lifestyle and all that stuff and he knew what he was getting into, which made it a lot easier. Being with someone who's in the same lifestyle, has the same mindset as you. So I never have to explain to him like why my dinner at night is 50 grams of rice, a scoop of peanut butter, and like 4 ounces of, chicken and maybe 25 grams of pineapple. That's what the macros fit. He gets it. So we just kind of like roll with it at this point.
Well, I did check that he also competes a bit himself too. So what division he does and how long he's been doing it?
He is not competing yet. I say yet because we're having conversations about it. So I don't know what division he's going to compete in. We just had to get him on stage. The goal was to get him on this summer, but I think his coach has other plans for him.
That's good. I know quite a few couples who one is competitive, one maybe just on the sidelines, maybe just help them out. Or I interviewed a couple who's right now they're planning to make their pro debuts together, and it's good to find somebody. Yeah, it's good to find somebody to share that passion as much as you do, and and also as folks, as I said again, she also has another job where she works in forensic security. So we'll pull this up here while we're here. And what's that about? I mean, when did it start? It's called the ARC Point Forensics. And I mean, wow, it's just, here she is right here. As pull up here, just here. And one of my things is, as my master Raza Guldim has taught me, be aware of surroundings at all time, young Master Wayne. Never get your footing for a killing blow. So when did this start and how long you been part of it?
Oh my gosh. So I actually was one of the founders of the company, and we started it in 2020, January 16th, 2020, to be honest with you. And as soon as we started, COVID shut down the world. So it wasn't great timing, but we were a startup for a little bit longer than what we wanted to be. And we sell this product called Atrio, is what you see. And I came from a digital forensic background. So I was an analyst for a really long time, servicing both government and law enforcement. So I just wanted to be able to get back to the community at like a bigger scale. So how can I help with services and products, and what do people actually need, and what, where's the gap? And the gap for us was being able to triage data out in the middle of nowhere, which is really important. So we're pretty active in the internet crimes against children community. And essentially what this allows is our tool set we can show up and do a search warrant. They can plug the devices in and get all the data they want, and then, find child sexual abuse material right there on scene, and then be able to make an arrest rather than letting a predator go back into their home and do whatever they're doing for the next, 2-3 months, depending on case processing, or, take risk at harming a child again. So.
Yeah, so pretty much it's kind of like CSI level security, where you go in, you find the data and also if something comes up, you work with the police, you work with the people to maybe seek out people like predators, stuff like that. That's really good. I mean, it's really appreciated. Here is she's giving a little talk here. We share it with us so you can listen.
Hey, so I travel a lot for work, and I'm in the middle of prep. So I'm trying to control as much that's going into my body as possible, and that includes eating out. There's a lot of hidden calories and oils and fats and all the other stuff that we just don't know what's going in our food and what's in those kitchens when we're ordering. So what I try to do is control that environment, right? So I have a travel gym, which is just a big box gym that I can go anywhere. So I don't have any excuses as to having a crappy workout or not having the right equipment. And then what I do for my food is this time I'm only traveling up and down for like a 1-day trip. So I really only need to pack breakfast for tomorrow. So this is my pre-gym meal. I have my carb supplement that I drank throughout my workout. I also did some hard-boiled eggs because these are easy to grab in between, because I'm in a conference and going in between meetings and stuff like that with individuals. This is really easy to crack, peel, eat, and then keep going. I also pre-measured out all my food. So I have my meat, my vegetables, my carbs. I only need 3 meals because we'll be back tomorrow. But I do have a little bit of extra snacks that I pack just in case, God forbid, my flight gets delayed or I get laid over. Then I have additional flexibility there. I also, when I land, get things that I can't pack. So you can't pack liquids. You can pack meat, vegetables, all the stuff. I pre-measure it, put it in these containers, put it in the freezer, and then I just put it in these Ziploc bags to just kind of like protect extra on the inside of my bag, just in case, you never know. And also, as it thaws, if it has a smell on the plane, I'm like self-aware that I cook with a lot of garlic and onion. And so as it thaws, I don't want to, have other people smelling that on the plane. So the bags kind of help with that too. But essentially, when I land, I usually get almond milk, like just a small bottle of almond milk for my cereal the next day. And then I also get liquid egg whites that are, the small containers. So that way I can just drink them right out of the carton. I posted that before. Some people think it's gross, but it's straight protein, no other additives in it. And for me, when I'm avoiding gluten and dairy and all these other things because of my rheumatoid arthritis, I just need to plan ahead. So this is the best way to do that. And this actually helps me kind of reduce my anxiety during prep, because a lot of times when we're cutting, we're always focused on the next meal. At least I am. And then okay, so
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I travel a lot for work.
You have a plan. My other guy says, I don't have a plan. It's a dog checking cars.
No, I have a plan. I have a plan all the time. And I think it's really important because, like I said, it keeps me on track, but it's one of the things I don't even have to think about. So,
Yeah.
So this picture, we actually went to Tulum, which was so nice. And it was right before I started prep. So I was feeling a little self-conscious.
I can't distract you with this picture here. I better calm myself down. I might give myself a heart attack. So, you have, ma'am, if I say this to you, and I'm going to say it in my awesome college voice, if I tell you you have a beautiful body, will you hold it against me? But yeah, it's a lot of work to train, to diet, the process of it. I mean, most people, it's again to understand the factors evolve as a bodybuilder as you grow and as you develop.
Yeah, and your mindset evolves with it, right? So, and you get to filter out a lot of extra noise. So, this prep, I've evolved even more with social media. I actually downloaded an app to block social media because I was just so consumed with, what's this person placing and what do they look like and what does this person say? So definitely the mindset of evolving of like, none of this matters. I'm competing against myself. I'm not competing against anyone else. I'm just going to show up. As my husband would say, that's a very mature comment. So I think there's a lot of maturity going on.
We get some good men there. That's most definitely, I think that's the thing about bodybuilding. It's not you against other people on stage. It's you versus you. It's that person in the mirror you got to look at, you got to fight against. And sometimes that's the thing is about the human mind, that sometimes we let fear and doubt hold us back. Like with me, like shout out to my friend, like I said again, I always want to do this because you tell me wear my hats in interview, but I'm not always wearing hat 24. I got this bad rap. Shout out to my friend Eunice, and I went there to support her because I live out here. I live my own. I live just me. And my nephew might stay with me over the weekend sometimes, and I lived with a big family. It's like counting my brothers and sisters, at least 6, 7 of us, and now like everybody else is grown. The kids are grown. Their kids are grown. And it's just me. And I was just sitting around the house, and we were talking. I was talking with her a few months before. She was playing because she was working with Tim Gardner and playing in her booth, and she was telling me how she was like, she needs some help. Yeah. I said, you know what? I got nothing to do. And I was planning to get myself another car because my car that I got when my sister gave me was shit. Excuse my language. And then I said, you know what? I got a few bucks. So just throw in, get a train, and go down and help my friend. And that's what I did. I got to meet you and quite a few other ladies. And the thing is, we have to learn to get out of our own ways and sometimes get out of our own comfort zone, especially as bodybuilder.
Oh yeah, yeah. For a while, I refused to tell people that I was bodybuilding because I felt like I was almost like having imposter syndrome about it. I was like, I'm bodybuilding, but I'm not a bodybuilder. And they're like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, but I'm competing in bodybuilding, but you're not a bodybuilder. And so it's kind of a mindset game of like, all right, if I just like take this on and like accept it, I'm going to grow with it. So it's kind of me getting out of my own way in that regard. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm a bodybuilder. And some people make comments like, oh, you don't look like it. I was like, well, I'm this what division I'm in. So all the divisions are very different and the looks are very different. So a lot of it's educating the public.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's most. I think it's the most important part about education is that people need to understand and learn. Like when I was coming up, bodybuilding used to be on network television. You catch it on NBC, ABC. You catch it on cable. But the last few years, only time like you can catch it on pay-per-view or on the internet, YouTube, because sometimes they post. I know some guys who follow, they post videos and stuff from shows. Generally, most people are more comfortable with sport. They understand. Like it's funny how I was like when when I was in Tampa. I was in my room and just, I think it was, it showed I was going to go to the master show that later that evening. Started around 5. I was going to leave around 4 and get into my apartment till like about 2. So I'm just laying there chilling out, take a shower later and just watching TV. And then you're showing, I was flipping through the channels because sometimes, different places, TV is different from every place you go to. And then I hit on ESPN Ocho and it's showing pillow fighting. What the heck? I've heard about it and I've seen clips of it. It's guys and women actually fighting with pillows. Now
Like
you telling
competitively?
me, yes, you can type it up. You can see I think they even got a website somewhere. They might even have a IG account where the people are fighting with pillows. Now I've interviewed ladies in combat sports from MMA, boxing, wrestling, bare knuckle. But this is it's not it's like cornhole. How now you can see it on ESPN. It's crazy how some people
I wonder what the criteria is. How do you win?
I, I I don't know whoever you
I have a
knock
lot of
out.
questions.
I mean that's something I think that's
You knock them out with a pillow?
I mean there's that slap thing now. I see guys getting knocked the hell out of that.
Oh my
I
gosh. But
don't
like for the
know.
pillow fighting, like is it a certain amount of grams in the pillow? Like how much does it weigh? Is there limitations on how you swing it to hit the person?
That's
It
something
also
I'm
seems like it
just
could be really relieving. Like
yeah.
I might be able to get into that too.
I would say one day you and Caesar sit there. We have nothing to do. Just go on ESPN Ocho or any kind of just find it. You can probably find it somewhere. Pull up on the internet. I'm just like this. I grew up watching sports like football, basketball, baseball. I watched that as a kid. But then I don't know. People just making up shit just so they can be, that it'd be more of inclusive. My brother, he played football here in our hometown. That's what got me into bodybuilding because you used to get the muscle mags. And I was a kid, grew up in the 80s. Popular cartoon was He-Man, Thundercats. See the muscular dudes, but it's again, y'all ladies particularly kind of arouse my kind of dander. But doing this content and talking to women like yourself, like your friend does wellness and wellness. That's also the division that kind of interests me because and just I've been a fan of women's body for a long time. It's the architect for everything. And just like I said, just today you only have 3 women bodybuilders at the Atlanta Pro. Really disappointing. And sometimes I get frustrated with it, but then I realize, you know what? Stop being frustrated with it. Accept that the fact is, it's just how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like also there's been some shifts in the criteria for bodybuilding and figure. And so there has been a lot of women who are competing in bodybuilding going down to figure, which I think is interesting as well. I don't know if that's normal or if that's the criteria has changed so much that it's caused people to do that. But
I think it's more like the reverse. I'm like right now at the at the Atlanta show. I got to meet her when I was at Tampa. That's Megan, Saint Barbara. Now she was figure, and now she's doing physique. She took second to Paula to Zama Benta. Paula Rancho, who also got to talk to, was who was at Tampa. She was a figure competitor. Now she went to physique. I
Mm.
think it's about the evolution of each athlete. And here's one excuse somebody says, I don't want to go to this division because I don't want to get as big and muscular. But then the fact is, you can't stick in a division where you are either placing low, you're struggling, and your body. When you're training, you're working out, and you're dieting like that. Like I've talked to figure competitors, the judges tell me we need you to be more fuller, more bigger, and then after a while, it's just you just start to evolve. Like I know ladies who have switched from figure to physique and figure to wellness, and then I think one thing that happened was when you switch that division, you bring that level of muscle to it. Like with physique, how it changed because a lot of female bodybuilders were going down, and then they brought those same aesthetics from women's bodybuilding, and it changed. If you look at like most definitely the current physique champion Sarah Vilgas, her level of muscle is totally different from you look at like a lot of ladies who different was Daly Bailey or Julian McCartney, or she Grant, she switched from physique to wellness. And you look at the Taekwondo, who was figure before, but now she's number 2 in the world. Is anybody in the sport that you are a fan of, that you follow, or you just admire their,
Oh my
not
gosh.
just as a just admire their work as a bodybuilder?
Yeah, I call them my crushes because they are gorgeous human beings. But Laura Lee, Maureen, I got the privilege to meeting Aaron Stern in person, which was a fantastic experience. And I was always like really nervous to meet a pro because they seemed so nice online, and I was like, I'd be really disappointed if they were like mean in person. But when I got to meet Erin, she was so sweet, and she gave me like so many like good advice, tips on different products and stuff for day of show. So I got to meet Laura Lee as well. So she actually came to our gym and did a posing session, and she actually did some posing with me, and she was also so sweet and supportive, which is one of the things I love about this community too, is everyone is rooting for each other, even though we're competing against one another. Because we're not truly competing against one another, right? We're just competing against ourselves. But it was a good experience. So now I just have to meet Maureen, and I'm all set.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I got a chance to meet some ladies while I was there. Some ladies I interviewed, some ladies who I follow on social media. One lady I would love to meet if it would make my whole entire lifetime if I meet her in person because I'm a fan of hers and I love her. She's my girlfriend, and that is the lovely Miss Andrea Shaw. I actually got I saw her. Was it my first Bobby show? I went to Savannah back in 2022, and she was guest posing there. And I got a friend of mine. He was like maybe a month away from her doing the Rising Phoenix, and said she looked good. Said George, when she's on, she's on. I mean, last year's Rising Phoenix was her best performance, but she popped back at Olympia. And this is a true story. My friend Eunice, she was there the year when the last year they had the Olympia in Orlando, and she got me this issue. I know I need to put this behind a piece of glass or something, but I love it so much. I just can't. I hug it and call my bunny rabbit. And it's a muscle development. Is they no longer are in production as a print. I used to collect these when I was younger. A lot of magazines. But and also when she was there, she was talking with Andrea, and like my other half like to say, whenever you're good at something, you say it like this: never do it for free. And this is to me my payment when the current 5-time Miss Olympia champion, 4-time Women's World Bodybuilding champion tells me, George, you are the best. Your support means the world to me. See you soon and sending you my love, Andrea Shaw.
Oh my gosh.
I
That
love
should be
it.
behind glass.
I know, but sometimes I speak with it yeah. Say, I love you, Andrea. I have dreams that we're in. At our wedding we have Case singing. Shouldn't you be happily ever after? I know it sounds like yeah, but I'm not crazy, Andrea. I just love it. But yeah, I mean, there's amazing people like not just her. I mean, family Angela Yo, a lot of women in sport. I got to meet Derek Lungford, and that was great. And also, a guy I used to remember coming back when I was coming up when I was going to bodybuilding, Kevin LeBron, and he was one of those legends. I mean, he was up there with guys like Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman and Flex Wheeler, guy who came so close to Mr. Olympia a couple of times but never got the title.
Yeah, I laugh now because when I first started, I don't even know if I want to admit this, but I didn't know anybody in the bodybuilding community, and my husband kept saying like, "Yeah, buddy, lightweight baby," like stuff like that to me, and I had no idea what he was talking about. And I was like,
"Yeah, baby,
really?
Ronnie Coleman, 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman." Shout out to Ronnie.
I was like, these are just such weird things you're just saying. Like, I just like don't understand.
Wait, that was Ronnie's thing. Congratulations, he's doing well now. He just survived the incident with sepsis. He was going to go to Atlanta, be there, but right now he's ready to recover. That's the thing important. That's the thing about with bodybuilding. Sometimes there's always the issues. This year we had some ladies that passed away. Just recently saw a lady who passed away. She hadn't competed for almost a little over 10 years. But it's always that stigma about bodybuilding because it's a dangerous sport. But it's again, I've done content and also did these women combat sports. There's more deaths in boxing in the ring, even outside of the ring, compared to bodybuilding. But because boxing is such a mainstream sport, it's overlooked. And always people going to point that finger about bodybuilders, it's steroids to use. So use of pads and all that. But you know what? Only if you abuse it, it's not the problem. The only problem is that people don't understand it.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think that that was a lot of the talk that was at Tampa backstage, is like how these individuals passed away. And I think a lot of people assume that they were abusing or something like that, but people have health issues. And you just don't know until that happens. So I know an individual they were referencing had died of a heart attack, and I think that they assumed as well that it was that, but apparently this individual had heart condition for a very long time, and it just was a coincidence that she also does bodybuilding. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, I'd tell you, I have a heart issue. I have when I was was 39, I had my first heart attack. I was at work, and then I went to my sister's house. She told me to go to the hospital. I went to urgent care. Told me something in my blood, and then the hospital told me that I had a heart attack. I thought I had a cold because I thought with a heart attack, be like, you grab your chest, but I felt like I was having a cold. But in the last 11 years, I have a pacemaker because my fracture was very low, and the pacemaker is keep me going. And yeah, I think that's the one thing people can forget, that sometimes that person might have something, a predisposed issue. And then like one thing, sometimes you die more from diuretics because you're not, keep your body hydrated. The human body is like, I think, 80% water. And even as for those competitors who have to compete, you have to push out that water because you have that nice dry look. I say this quite often. People who are on the outside of the sport don't know about the sport. We go to shows, we see these muscular, fit, shredded, ripped bodies, but don't understand the cost of what they did to the dehydration, the tired, the just being hangry, and also the expense of being a competitor. Because as you know,
oh my gosh, yes,
yeah, as amateur, even though your posing suits don't cost as much as it was when you were doing bikini, but still, compared to the guys, they got to wear a pair of banana hammocks and board shorts. You ladies, you have to have your hair, your makeup done. You have to have, your tan. That's one thing most important. Then the cost of going to shows, the food, paying your coaches. It's a expensive hobby. And other than maybe if you're lucky enough to get a pro card, you don't get much out of it.
Yeah. I mean, the bikinis alone, like I said, my first show, I ordered one off Amazon. I had so many compliments on it. No one knew. And it was $150. And I thought that was expensive. And then when I went and purchased one that was custom made for me, I went to the low tier option for budget, and it was still $500. And then that's just a suit. And then you have the shoes and hair. So I actually do my own hair, and I have somebody, dear friend of mine, who does my makeup. So it's a reduced rate. Then because sometimes the tanning packages are anywhere from $300 to $400 if you want them to do hair, makeup, tan. But tanning alone is usually anywhere from like $100 to $150. And they have different packages that you can buy, but it does add up. Different shows have different costs in terms of registration. So I think I'm actually registered for a show on the 23rd, back down in Florida. And I think it was almost twice the amount of my registration fee as the Tampa Pro. But I think it's a smaller show, so they have to kind of make up for that, and they do cap the athletes for registration. So that could be it. I'm not really sure. So, but yeah, it adds up real quick.
Yeah, because like I said, the cost of food right there, the travel to the shows, paying interest fees, and you get again the other stuff, the hair, the makeup, and the shoes, all that. That's one thing about sport. Ladies told me like this. Even though that's the big part about it, they enjoy what they do. They love it. They do it because they love it. If you look, at the prize money, especially when you get to the pro level, the guys make a little more. You saw that Auto raised up the prize money to the Arnold Classic to $750,000. And here's one thing I'm thinking about is, Fit Model is going to be added next year to some shows. Most definitely Arnold will add it. He's going to announce it probably later. There's a possibility he might kick out fitness to make room for this division because he did it with women's bodybuilding, physique, figure, and even men's 212. I think it's a lot of controversies. I know quite a few competitors are not very happy about it. They don't like it. But you know what? It's just how it is sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting and maybe because we're all more of like a routine type of personality in bodybuilding, but we do the same thing. We eat the same thing. We don't deviate from the plan. And so when there's any type of change introduced into your lifestyle, their franchise or something, I feel like it does take our community a little bit longer to wrap their head around it and to kind of like keep an open